Mark Twain once observed, "There is nothing more sad to see than a young pessimist, except the sight of an old optimist." Well, we're all taught to be optimistic, particularly we Christians that are taught to have an optimistic view of life. In fact, some Christians believe it is unchristian not to have an optimistic view of life. I want to welcome everybody to one of our vlogs from St. Mark's Episcopal in Dalton, Georgia. I'm not in Dalton, Georgia this morning. I'm in a little village called Beersheba, Tennessee, which I'm here at a Christian retreat, a very beautiful location and environment here. I'd like to acknowledge a Catholic priest named Michael Rainier for inspiring some of today's lesson about optimism and something better than that. Well, optimism is a great disposition. It is something that's a virtue most of the time to have. But optimism, for those of us who believe in Christ, there's a huge difference between optimism and hope. Optimism focuses on our everyday lives. We want our affairs to go smoothly, obviously. We want less traffic. We want shorter lines. We want fewer hassles at work. And those are things we're optimistic about, or try to be. But when our daily affairs do not go our way, we are tempted to lose our optimism. And even like in the TV show Ted Lasso, which I'm sure some of you enjoy, too much optimism can be a detriment in life, can blind us to reality sometimes. So optimism is rooted in the everyday, the here and now. Hope, particularly Christian hope, is grounded in the transcendent. Christian hope is about the next life, a better life. Christian hope can be strong even when life disappoints us. Christian hope is strong even when life is painful. Christian hope is free of illusion. Christian hope acknowledges that we're all flawed, all of us hurt, and all of our lives are messy. Christian hope even acknowledges the reality of death. But Christian hope also sees the bad in our lives. It also sees the good. Christian hope sees the lasting value of each person. Christian hope sees an imperfect world, but a world that's being redeemed by Christ. Christian hope is the assurance that life has eternal meaning. All will be made right. Life is not empty because the final word belongs to God. Pope Francis said in one of his sermons earlier this week, which inspired this lesson also, he says, "Let Christ turn your optimism into Christian hope, into moral virtue, your good into self-sacrificing love." This is the path that we are called to take. And our own Episcopal Book of Common Prayer says that Christian hope is to live in the newness and fullness of life, and to wait for the coming of Christ in glory and the completion of God's plan for the world, with the assurance that nothing, not even death, shall separate us from the love of God. Faith in God gives us hope in this broken world. So in anticipation of celebrating the resurrection this Easter, let us be optimistic and have the Christian hope and say, thanks be to God.